Okay, well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Saturday morning training, hosted by our great host, Jeremy Jenkins, who always has something interesting every Saturday lined up for us. I found it interesting. I was talking to Gordon the other day, and I was talking to Chris Dowling. I was talking to people, and they're going, I'm not sure I could repeat back anything that Jeremy's taught us, but it sure is interesting. And it is great. And, he does such a great job on these calls. We really love it. So, anyway, with that in mind, let's just turn it over to Jeremy and hear about this interesting development that you were talking about last week, Jeremy.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Steve. So yeah, welcome everybody. It's interesting being in this industry, networking, relationship marketing, and everything, because there's a phrase I heard years ago that said, that the good thing about being part of network marketing and relationship marketing is that it's a people business. But you know what else? The bad thing about being part of network marketing and relationship marketing is that it's a people business, right? So it's because what happens is, because it is so open and there's so many opportunities and everything, it also allows for a lot of bad actors, a lot of, the scams to happen, right? And that's why sometimes you get a bad reputation and some negativity going on with it. And so it's really important for all of us to understand how to recognize and evaluate opportunities. And because we all get pitched on stuff like all the time, right? I'm always constantly getting pitched on different things, and so I've had to learn throughout the years what to recognize, what to look for, what to know, so that I don't end up getting hurt. And the last thing I want is for also somebody that I invited to get hurt, and lose money and whatever. So we've all been there, right? In multiple different times, I'm sure. So today's training a little bit different from things in the past. Today we're not talking specifically about Gnodi documents and Cirrus comp plan and stuff. Today we're going to talk about evaluating blockchain projects, including ours, okay? Because our prospects are being pitched 5 projects a week, right? And the person who teaches them how to compare will be able to win their trust. And that's what it comes down to. So, ground rule, first of all, we're not going to bash any specific project today. Okay, just want to be very clear on that. Even though I'm going to name some, right? I don't want to bash it. And if maybe some of you are in one of the ones I'm going to mention, don't think that I'm bashing it at all. Think of it more like the Pepsi challenge, right? Where, it's like, okay, we got Coke and Pepsi, right? Which one do you like? It's not that one's bad, right? It's just which one maybe is better, okay? And that's how we're gonna talk about it. Okay, so we're going to talk about frameworks. We're going to talk about public facts. We're going to talk about questions. Nothing today, again, is financial legal advice. We're just educators. That's our job, is to be educators and show people what we're doing and help them to get excited and understand why we think it's a worthy project. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen real quick, and today's topic title is The Informed Choice: How to Evaluate Any Blockchain Project Like a Pro, right? And why the questions themselves are your best sales tools. Okay, all right. So we're going to set the tone on this one because it protects 3 things. First, our relationships. People in this room, right, maybe are in certain companies I'm going to mention, and we're not going to try and make them feel bad or anything, right? And second of all, the legal safety, right? We're not going to call out anything, call it a scam or a Ponzi, because that could actually come across as defamation, right? And we don't want to deal with any of that. And then third thing is just simply credibility. Okay, if we can rate Gnodi with the same metric that we rate some of these others I'm going to talk about, then now we can say, yeah, we're not just trying to bash. We're trying to just show what each one has, what each one brings to the table, and it's going to help people understand maybe I should lean a little bit more towards Gnodi because of these different factors. Okay, so we do. We have friends and teammates in a lot of different companies, a lot of different blockchain projects, and nobody chose wrong on purpose. Okay. That's not what happened. They just acted on information that they had, and we're going to add to that information. We're never going to subtract. Okay. And what's interesting, where this all kind of came from is because in the last couple of weeks, I've been pitched on 3 new blockchain projects, and we've seen certain projects go under. Specifically, there's one that's called the Aurum Foundation that started in 2024. And a lot of people got into that, and they've pulled the plug just a couple days ago. It's done. Those people have lost their money forever, and they're never getting it back. And so we want to make sure that everything we share and talk about is, it must be verifiable. It must be public. Where third parties have raised concerns about a project, those are allegations. So we just say, hey, you know what? Reviewers have raised questions, and we never want to say that's a scam, right? We just want people to really be educated and understand what it is we have with Gnodi. So, and it all goes back to Gnodi too, right? We're going to score everything the same, including its weaknesses, because Gnodi's not perfect. It's not, okay? But there are definitely some perks to it that make it a little bit more or a lot more attractive than maybe some of the others, right? So we're not going to try and hide anything, because transparency is the name of the game. People can sense when you're maybe not being totally upfront, right? Okay. So the main core thing is this: we don't sell investments. And that is actually an advantage, okay? Because all the other ones, and I'm not kidding, every single one that has been pitched to me and that I've seen has always been the put so much money in, get back so much per day or month or year. Like the product is the return on every single one of them, right? It's always just about, just put your money in and just get paid the rest of your life, never worry about it, right? Remove that return, there's nothing left, okay? So every sentence of the pitch is always just a promise about money. And this framing is precisely what securities regulators exist to police, right? That's what they do. That's what they're looking for. And they're very diligent about it. And there's, that Aurum project is one. There's some others that they're getting clawed back now on, where people thought, oh, you know what, I just was part of it and I didn't really pitch it or anything. But they're years later, regulators are coming after them and suing people for thousands and millions of dollars because it was stolen money from the victims, right? And they're having to come up with it. So don't think that just because you didn't even recruit anybody that you're safe. No. All right. Now, what our pitch is, right? This is what's so different, is it's all about participation. Okay. That is our pitch. A node license is just the right to operate infrastructure and vote in government. Okay. That's it. We have a governance. We talked about that. And we have actual services. We have apps. We have Safe. We have Stack. We have Meetin. We have several more to come. And they have utility even if you never touch the token, okay? Safe is valuable just because. Meetin is valuable because it works. It has utility. It has features that others don't, right? The stacks, it's a great deal. I was sharing stacks just the other day with somebody, and they couldn't believe it. They're like, they thought that it was, $50 a month just for stacks. And they said, that's a great deal. That's so much cheaper than, anything. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. You can save this much money on the travel and everything. And they assumed that it was $50 just for the travel. And then when I told them, oh no, but you know what? You also get the shopping savings, and you also get Meetin, and you also get Safe for the $50. And their mind was blown. They were like, wait, what? You get all that other stuff too for just $50? That's amazing. They couldn't believe it, right? And so that is real utility. The people think, yeah, $50 to get all those things, of course. And then you get rewarded on top of it. It's just unreal, right? So rewards may follow validated participation, but we never guarantee it, right? Or promise any kind of reward money. the charter itself disclaims profit promises, and that's a shield, not a weakness. Okay. All right. So there are two doors, right? And we've heard Bob Steed talk about this a lot, but the idea most of these projects present as is just come in and buy a bag of tokens, right? That's what they do. You buy it, you hold it, you hope that someone pays more later, so you can then resell it at a higher price. Like there's often no utility, there's no governance, there's no cash flow logic. It's 100% price dependent, right? Pure speculation with speculation's full downside, because that's what they do, right? They pay, hey, just buy this node and just hope, cross your fingers, pray, that something's going to happen, that at some point those that are behind the scenes working on things are going to do something, and there's these projects or whatever, and maybe it'll turn into something, I don't know, right? That's all they got. Okay. Or door number two is buy that big ticket node, right? Come in for 1,000, 2,000, whatever, buy one get one free for $2,000, and it's just super expensive. Most people can't afford it. Most people are not that willing to risk that money, right? It's a leap. It's not a step. Okay, that pitch of just buy it once, get paid on it forever. That is a passive return promise, which we're going to talk about the Howey test here in a minute, which is complete violation of the Howey test, which becomes a security, which means then they're going to get shut down by the SEC. So, and then if the payout stops, what's left in your hands, right? You got nothing. Okay. So neither of these doors ever ask the most natural question in our business, which, what do you actually use? Where's the utility? Okay. So there's a third door, and that is what we offer, right? Utility and pricing that allows the masses to participate, because utilization, there's utility and then there's utilization. And to have utilization, you got to have the masses. You got to have something that everybody not only wants, but can afford. They can all be part of it. So we have, of course, our full flagship node, right? For 100 points every day, and we get a vote. You can do a half node for 600. You can do a quarter node for just 300. You can even start with as little as just a mini node for $100. Okay, so now we have affordability. We have something that people can feel like oh, I'm comfortable with this. But not only that, we offer the micro entry, right? We have our Delphi app products, our SaaS products, our Safe Stacks and Meeting. So we have better features, real services that people already pay for anyway. Storage, savings, and meetings. We have better pricing, competitive with the non-crypto alternatives they replace. We have participation rewards. So tokenized services mean daily usage may earn from that 40% activity pool rewards that rewards follow what you already do, and it's never a promise. Okay, so of course, and that will fluctuate. Those rewards right now, they're almost 2 cents, right? Could go up, could go down. We don't know. There's no promise, but there's some utility, and you can analyze that and say, okay, this is cool because it's something I would have paid for anyway, and it's accessible for as little as $10 a month. I'm now participating in this community, in this environment, and potentially those rewards could be worth something, right? And that's great. Okay, so questions beat claims. These are the three questions. If somebody is ever, coming at you with a project or, opportunity or something, okay, here's what you can say without trying to bash them, without trying to, just call it a scam right out of the gate. You can just, hey, you know what? Do you have any full governance documents I could read? Right? Just ask them. Right? Not a landing page. Don't say, send me your website. No, you want to know if they actually have a charter or a constitution with an amendment process, right? And I guarantee you, 99% of them are going to go, wait, what? What are you talking about? Right? Oh, your project doesn't have government documents? Like, what? Oh, well, I think I heard about maybe they have a white paper or something, right? You can start there. Right? Okay. Or what about what limits the people in charge? right? What it says that the owners or the top guys or whatever aren't just going to take that money and run, or aren't going to just change the rules on you or whatever, right? Like, is there anything there that protects you, gives you some rights? Okay. And then the third one is, are the returns promised or are they possible? Because anytime you tell me that there's a guaranteed X percent, okay, it's a legal category. It's not a perk. So you may earn based on participation is a very different universe from just saying, oh yeah, you're going to make your money back in 2 months. Are you sure? Right? So the magic of this is these questions do the comparison for you, right? You never have to say a negative word about anyone. Just ask them those questions. And then if they can't answer right, then you can be like, I don't know, this might not be a good project for me or you, right? Here's the thing, the landscape of it all. Most blockchains have no constitution at all, right? And some, that's okay. That can be by design. For example, Bitcoin and Ethereum, they have zero constitutional documents. Okay, their government is just informal, rough consensus via improvement proposals and stuff. But yeah, they don't have a DAO, right? Their protection comes from just massive decentralization of code and nodes, and that's fine. And it works at their scale, okay? But it doesn't offer participants any kind of rights, anything written, right? No, there's no protections there. And it's just strict, total decentralization, kind of a little bit of chaos. And some people like that, and that's okay. There is a constitutional minority. So there are a couple of other projects that actually do have written constitutions, smart contracts, and stuff. So Arbitrum is kind of the main one. Cardano is another one, right? The ADA token. They have a constitution. There's one called ENS, and then there's Gnodi, right? So Gnodi, we actually have a detailed charter with due process, conflict rules, treasury controls, all that stuff. But it is still pending ratification. Okay, so that is the one thing we have to be transparent about. It's not totally 100% done, but I'm sure it will be at some point, right? We'll get there. So let's just take a look at a couple of the gold standards of what's happening in the blockchain world. So Arbitrum, they have that enforced constitution, right? It's a formal constitution with a decentralized autonomous organization, a DAO that governs the chain, right? Its on-chain rules are enforced directly by the government smart contracts, and all rules are equally binding. They have a limited security council over there, 12 democratically elected members, emergency actions, need 9 of the 12, and the DAO can actually curtail or remove the council's emergency powers by constitutional proposal. And then they have a way to scale and track the records. So they, it governs roughly about 1.4 to 1.8 billion in treasury with years of executed proposals. The Constitution isn't a theory, it's actually operating, right? They've got years doing this now, okay? So that's why this is kind of the gold standard of what could potentially be with a legit blockchain with governance. So why we want to show this? Because pointing at the industry's best is how you prove what good looks like, right? Makes sense. Okay, so the other one, Cardano, right? So that one, ratified constitution, right? So the community ratified it. It was drafted through global workshops, a constitutional convention. They ratified it on chain with 85% approval. They got 75% threshold, the same bar that Gnodi uses, right? You can kind of see where they probably copied it a little bit, okay? And then there's supply cap in the Constitution. So that they have 45 billion ADA maximum tokens, right? And it's locked right into that constitutional text. The closest analog anywhere to what Gnodi has done by constitutionalizing its 29.5 billion cap, right? So pretty cool. And then Constitutional Committee, they have an elected body that reviews every governance action for constitutionality before it takes effect. So that's the same referee role as what Gnodi's Council of the Guardians does. Okay, so pretty parallel, right? Pretty similar. So the talking point on that is Gnodi's governance model rhymes with Cardano's constitutional supply cap, 75% amendment wall, elected referee body, and so on. Right. So we know now kind of what's out there, what's working, what's tried and true, and how Gnodi is modeling that and thus giving us protections. Okay. Now, here's the other important thing that people need to really, really understand when it comes to something being considered a security and thus needing to be registered with the SEC. And if not, then they're potential of getting shut down. So from a 1946 United States Supreme Court case, okay, which was the SEC versus W.J. Howey, and this is still the test that the SEC applies today on everything, anything investment related, but especially crypto. So if an offer is considered an investment contract, okay, then it is subject to SEC rules and therefore needs to be reporting and registered and all that stuff. So here are the 4 things. If you put money in and your money is pooled with everyone else's fortunes, and the pitch is about what you'll make back, okay, there's an expectation of profit, and it comes from the efforts of others, someone else's work produces the return, that now becomes passive income, okay? Passive, meaning somebody else is using your money to make money and then hopefully pay you some back, right? That is an investment. That's a security, okay? And if something is a security, then now you've got to be worried about the SEC coming after it and everything like that, okay? So why that guaranteed returns is the red flag is because guaranteed returns convert a product sale into an investment contract. So unregistered securities offerings unregistered security offerings invite SEC action. That's what they're looking for. Deceptive earnings claims in recruitment-driven programs also invites the FTC. Okay, so there's 2 agencies that can come after you, just one trigger, right? When you're promising returns or you're doing income claims or you're doing product claims or anything like that, you got the SEC looking over you and you got the FTC looking at you, and that's not good. Okay, so there's a math problem with it all. A fixed return must be paid from something. It has to come from somewhere. If revenue doesn't cover it, then the only other place it can come from is participant money. Okay, and participant money covering the returns is the definition of a Ponzi scheme. That's what that is, right? So a program sustained by new money has a name and expiration date. They always do, right? So you always need to ask what external revenue funds the guarantee. You have to find that out. And then there's the participant problem. When enforcement or collapse comes, and they always do, it always works until it doesn't, right? Every single one of these projects I've been invited to, and they're like, "Come in, we're making all this money," and they get on stage and they show all these things and all these money, and then next thing you know, it's just done, right? It's gone. Everybody loses. So when that happens, participants don't get a refund window. Withdrawals freeze, token reprice towards zero, clawbacks and lawsuits can reach people who withdrew winnings early, right? All that, they come after you. Years down the road, they can still come after you. It's crazy. So here are some examples of that. BitConnect lasted from 2016 to 2018. They promised 1% daily up to 40% monthly via a trading bot, okay? They raised over $2 billion. Their token collapsed 99% within days of the shutdown. The SEC charged the founder and, critically, the promoters of it. And its top U.S. promoter pleaded guilty in criminal conspiracy. Okay. Then there was Forsage. Forsage, 2020 to 2022, It was marketed as a smart contract matrix program on Ethereum. The SEC alleged about $300 million in pyramid and Ponzi scheme stuff. The SEC charged 11 people, including US-based promoters who marketed it on YouTube. And, oh, it's just all on the blockchain, was not a defense. Okay. So be careful. Promoter liability. Why our discipline is actually armor. Okay. It may seem slow sometimes, and I get it. It's frustrating that, all these other things are out there, making people a ton of money and stuff. And maybe our project is just kind of slow going, right? But it's an actual protection for us, because those other ones where they make quick money, they also collapse really quick and people get hurt and people go to jail. So in BitConnect and Forsage, regulators charge the people who marketed the schemes, not just the founders, not just the owners, the people who marketed them. Okay. The commissions earning, the promoting an unregistered security, that can bring what's called disgorgement. It can bring penalties and even criminal exposure. The FTC also, right, polices income claims. So any kind of deceptive earnings claims in recruitment-based programs are the FTC's home turf, right? Anytime you say, I made $7,000 a month, so can you, without substantiation, is exactly the claim pattern it targets. We've got to be careful. So our language, Gnodi's language, the stuff that we've been taught from Kat and the compliance team, that language protects us. Okay. When you say rewards may follow validated participation, nothing is guaranteed. Guess what? You're not weakening the pitch. Okay. You're standing behind the only wall that has ever protected promoters. That's how you protect yourself. Okay. So here's 7 questions that you can ask. Here are 7 things you can ask somebody, right? That's maybe pitching you something. Can I read the full government's document? Second, what written limits constrain the leadership or the council, right? Uh-oh. You guys still seeing me? Kind of kicked me out for a second, but just want to make sure. Okay. What written limits constrain the leadership or council? What's the amendment threshold? And is it published? Is the Treasury multi-sig with public reporting? Are returns promised or possible based on participation? Is there real product utility if the token went to 0? And what do independent sources say, right? Not the project's own media. Okay. So you can print this out, you can share it, you can use it on Gnodi first, right? A scorecard that you only apply to competitors is a sales trick, but one you apply to yourself it's a standard. Okay. So super important to ask those questions and really understand, is this a legitimate project? All right. So now we're going to practice what we preach. Okay. So Gnodi on the scorecard, including the caveats. Where Gnodi scores well. This is where we score well. So we have full published charter, right? We have due process, conflict rules. We have dispute resolution. We have anti-concentration, all those things built into our charter, into our constitution. We have that 75% amendment wall. We have that supply cap, which is constitutionalized, just like Cardano. We have a council with written limits, multi-sig treasury with reporting duties. Right? We have a no return promise anywhere by design, and we have apps with standalone utility. Now, the honest caveats, here are some things that we're still working on. So the charter is pending ratification per its own signature block, which is fine, right? That's just a question of just getting it finalized, getting it through compliance, getting us to vote on it, that kind of stuff. Enforcement is council published reporting. Okay, so it's not a smart contract enforced kind of thing like Arbitrum. So okay, there's that. The track record, one major government's vote, right, at this point versus years at Arbitrum and Cardano. So we're still new, we're young, right? But we do have some. We have some votes on record and everything, which is great. And then, like every other project, there's no value listing or reward guarantees. The charter says so itself, right? That is, so it's a caveat, but it's not something, overly like red flag, right? It's okay. All right, so let's just take a look. Here's a public record side by side of what is kind of going on out there. So, and this is as of July 2026. So let's just say what regarding those 7 things, right? Full governance document published. Okay. So Gnodi, yes, we have our version 3.2 pending ratification, right? And so, yeah, we're good. Okay. Arbitrum has that also. Great. Cardano has one. Trusted Smart Chain, partial. They have a partial one. They don't have a full one yet. Okay. Bellator, no, they have nothing. There's nothing with anything to do with governments or any of that. Wi-Fi, no. There's zero anything regarding any kind of protections, constitution, any of that kind of stuff. Apertum, same thing. There's nothing out there that, for their governance, okay? And then Alt's another one that I've been pitched on recently. And they've got partial, right? They've got a little bit, and, they're out of Wyoming, and they're doing a few things good. All right, let's talk about amendment threshold, right? So Gnodi, yeah, same thing. 75%. Arbitrum, yes. Cardano, 75%. Trusted Smart Chain, nope. Bellator, nope. Wi-Fi, no. Apertum, no. Alt, no. Oversight body with written limits. Does Gnodi have it? Yes. Arbitrum does. Cardano, yes. Trusted Smart Chain, it's unclear. There's no information about it at all anywhere. Bellator, nope. They have nothing. Wi-Fi, nope. Apertum, nope. And Alt has a little bit. Okay. Live governance votes on record. So Gnodi has one major one that we did. Arbitrum has several. Cardano has several. Trusted Smart Chain has some, right? Bellator, no, there's nothing out. Apertum, unclear. And Alt, it's too new. It's just getting started. They're still in their test net. They haven't even gone mainnet yet. So nothing to show. And then marketing that avoids stagers. This is the big one, right? This is the one that you're in trouble with the FTC and the SEC and all that. So Gnodi, yes, our marketing is all compliant. We have nothing that's going to get us in trouble. Arbitrum, same thing. Cardano, yes. Trusted Smart Chain, there's nothing really out there about it's just not marketed that much is probably the main reason. But yeah, it's just unclear on that one. Bellator, yeah, they're in heavy violation of their marketing, promising returns and stuff like that. Lots of examples of their distributors sharing it the wrong way. Wi-Fi, same thing. Wi-Fi has tons of examples of people sharing it the wrong way. Apertum, same thing. Alt is yeah, they're doing a good job. Okay, and then regulator warnings. Okay, so regulator warnings on record. None for Gnodi, none for Arbitrum, none for Cardano, none for Trusted Smart Chain, none found for Bellator, none found for Wi-Fi. Apertum has a bunch, okay, in 5 jurisdictions, and then Alt, none. So there's that scorecard, right, for those 7 questions, and we have an idea of if it was me and I was trying to pitch it to somebody else. I mean, obviously for my own protection and for the protection of those that I care about, I would be inviting to the project. I would just make sure. I would want to make sure that all 7 things had, protection there, right? So here's the conversation that matters the most. When someone you care about is already in one of those other projects, okay, we never want to make them wrong. That, we just would say, hey, that's awesome that you're taking action in crypto. I love it, right? Most people never do. You're part of that, 7% that's doing it. That's great. Awesome. Congratulations. Their decision to act was right. Just their information was maybe incomplete. Okay. So if you attack the choice, you could lose the person, right? That's not what we're trying to do. So we're going to add, not subtract. Okay, so you just say something like, you don't have to undo anything to look at this, right? Run both projects through the same 7 questions with me. Whatever the answers are, you'll be better off knowing them. So you never advise selling or exiting. That's financial advice that we don't give, right? So we just never, no, I'll sell your note over there, or, stop hosting it. You never want to say anything like that, right? We're going to add, not subtract. And then we're going to plant a seed, okay, and leave the door open. So you say, hey, if you ever want a second home for part of your crypto energy, guess what? We've got a published constitution and no promises that it can't keep. I'm here. Hey, if you ever want to do it, let me know, right? And then just drop it. So pressure confirms their bias, right? But patience can earn that call when things change, right? Okay. And then how do we handle objections? The 4 you're going to probably hear the most, right? That project whatever is guaranteeing daily returns. And you can say, yeah, that's exactly what I'd look into first, because a guarantee is a legal category, not a perk. So, historically, guaranteed return crypto programs are the ones regulators shut down. Can I show you the pattern? Or they might say, their node pays forever after just one purchase. And then you can say, yeah, buy once, get paid forever is kind of a passive return promise. So the exact structure from the case files, Gnodi ties rewards to actual participation, and the latter starts at just $100, right? Or just the apps, which are worth using on their own. And they might say, well, Gnodi doesn't promise me anything. And you can say, right, on purpose. The charter legally can't promise returns and stay what it is. The projects that promise are the ones that end up in case files. So no promises is the safety feature. And then finally, they might say, well, I'm already committed elsewhere. And you say, okay, totally respect that. No need to change anything. I just want to run, both through 7 questions, or do you want to run both through the 7 questions together? Worst case, you'll know where your current project is better than anyone, right? So now we can do a comparison real quick. So this is what you should say. I ask every project the same 7 questions. Let's run yours and mine together. Guaranteed return programs have a documented enforcement history worth researching. Independent reviewers have raised questions. Here's where to look. And Gnodi's charter is pending ratification. Here's what it says. Where you never want to say, such and such a project is a scam, a Ponzi, right? Because that could have defamation risk, and we just want to leave that to the courts, okay, and regulators. You never want to say, hey, sell your X and buy some Gnodi, right? Because that's financial advice, and we never do it. You never want to say Gnodi is the safe investment, right? It's not an investment. Nothing is safe ever. And then you never want to say you'll earn more with us, okay? That's an income claim, and the exact thing we just spent an hour avoiding. All right, so here's the whole training in 3 sentences. Sentence 1, before you join any crypto project, read its governance document, and if there isn't one, that's your answer. Sentence 2, be careful with anything that guarantees returns. Historically, those are the programs regulators shut down. And number 3, Gnodi wrote a constitution instead of a promise. Read it and decide for yourself. No attacks, no promises, no advice, just 3 sentences that make thoughtful people curious, okay? So here's the recap, 5 things to remember. We're going to teach the questions and win the trust. We sell participation and utility, never investment. It's a ladder, not a leap. That's one of our highest, selling points at Cirrus, right? Is that people can start for a little of $10 a month and work their way up. Entry from everyday app products to full nodes. We have that triple advantage, easier barrier to entry, and the full governance readily available, and that's a total win. The Howey test. Remember the Howey test. Money plus common enterprise plus profit expectation plus others' efforts is a security. So buying once, paid forever checks all those boxes. We got to be careful with that. The third thing, history. BitConnect, Forsage, and others. Promoters were charged too. Our compliance language is body armor, not bureaucracy. The 7-question scorecard applied to Gnodi first, caveat spoken first, no project attack by name ever. And then with friends already in other projects, just honor that decision, add, don't subtract, never advise exits, plant and wait. So this week's income producing activity, Offer that 7-question scorecard to 3 prospects, including at least one person already in another project, and fill it out with them, and then invite them to a meeting. So there we go, my friends. That is the training. Let me know what you think.
Fantastic. Very good, Jeremy. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely
A lot of work
amazing.
goes into that. A lot of work
I'm
goes into
telling
that.
you.
That was great. Thank you so much. I really appreciated all of that.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. I don't know what happened to my camera.
All right. So just as a reminder, next week, we're going to take the week off. We're giving Jeremy the week a well-deserved vacation. And the reason why I don't want to step up is who can follow this? I was thinking, I'll ask Gordon, and Gordon will say, "Are you kidding? I don't want to follow Jeremy, just like you." And so we're going to give you the week off, Jeremy, and go out and enjoy the weekend for a change. I know yesterday I got invited by Chris. Melinda and I got invited to go golfing, and so enjoy the time that you have to be able to do these things. By the way, Chris, look at it. I actually got burned, and I did everything I could to stay out from being burned. But anyway, have a safe trip.
All right. Appreciate it.
And we will see you guys in 2 weeks. Let your teams know. And we'll see you. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Good Saturday. Bye.